When Keanu Reeves was handcuffed in broad daylight at a Beverly Hills grocery store, cell phone cameras captured every second of what would become one of the most brutal public humiliations in Hollywood history. What should have been a simple supermarket run turned into a coordinated takedown, with officers hurling false accusations and attempting to destroy cinema's most beloved figure in front of dozens of witnesses. But in the 7 minutes that followed, something extraordinary happened, a reversal so powerful. It not only freed Keanu, it completely obliterated the careers of every person involved in the conspiracy. The final moments, caught on camera, stunned the world and proved that targeting the wrong man can cost you everything. The truth that came to light was more explosive than anyone imagined. But before we dive into this incredible story, tell us, what's your favorite Keanu Reeves movie? Let us know in the comments. It was a muggy Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles when Keanu Reeves decided to do something millions do every day: go grocery shopping. Dressed in a navy blue jacket, gray shirt, and black jeans, he calmly pushed a cart through the aisles of Ralph's Market in Beverly Hills, blending in with the crowd. It wasn't unusual for Keanu to go unrecognized. In fact, he preferred it that way, especially for ordinary moments like picking up groceries. That day, he was shopping for dinner, cooking for his sister Kim, who was visiting while undergoing treatment for leukemia. The store was packed, as it often is on weekends. Families moved through their routines. Children laughed and raced down aisles. Employees restocked shelves. To everyone else, Keanu was just another quiet customer, a modest-looking man who took time to check prices before choosing each item. In the organic produce section, he paused to pick vegetables for a soup Kim had been craving. Beside him, a mother wrangled two restless kids while trying to select apples. One child, a boy about 4 years old, tripped and knocked over a tray of fruit. Keanu immediately crouched down, gently helping the boy gather scattered apples. "It's okay, buddy," he said softly. "Happens to all of us." The mother offered a grateful smile, but didn't recognize him. "Thank you so much." "Kids, right?" she said. "Of course," Keanu replied, standing up with an armful of fruit. "They're just being kids." It was a small moment. Most people didn't even notice. But it was pure Keanu helping without expecting anything. In return, he continued shopping, methodically checking his handwritten list. Kim had asked for organic ingredients, and even with the higher prices, Keanu never hesitated. Her health was worth everything. At the deli counter, he waited behind an elderly man carefully debating between cheeses. Others in line showed impatience, sighing, checking their phones, but Keanu stood silently, lost in thought about Kim's condition and her experimental treatment. "Can I help the next person?" The deli worker finally called out. Keanu stepped forward with a soft smile. "Half a pound of the low-sodium turkey breast, please." "Coming right up," the worker replied, not realizing one of the world's most iconic actors was in front of him. As Keanu waited, he noticed some commotion near the entrance, raised voices, someone talking urgently on the phone. He glanced up, then turned back. It seemed like nothing. Just another day in a busy city. His phone buzzed with a message from Kim. "Don't forget the ginger for the soup." "Love you, brother," he smiled and typed back. "Already got it. See you soon." The deli worker handed over the turkey. "There. You go, sir. Anything else?" "That's perfect." "Thanks," Keanu said. With his cart now full, he headed to the checkout lanes, choosing the one with the shortest wait. In front of him stood a woman with a loaded cart and a handful of coupons. The cashier, a young man named Marcus, moved through items with practiced focus. Keanu soon noticed the woman looked nervous. She kept counting and recounting her cash. "Excuse me," Marcus said gently. "Your card was declined." "Do you have another form of payment?" Her face flushed with shame. "I thought I had enough. Could you take some items off?" Without pause, Keanu stepped forward. "I'll cover the difference," he said quietly. "You don't have to," the woman protested. "It's no problem," Keanu smiled. "We've all been there." Marcus completed the payment, and the woman left with tears in her eyes, thanking Keanu as she walked away. Again, nobody seemed to notice, but Marcus did. That was really kind of you, he said as he scanned Keanu's items. Just paying it forward, Keanu replied, but neither of them had any idea what was coming next. In just minutes, that peaceful Saturday afternoon would erupt into chaos. Keanu's quiet generosity would be twisted into something dark. His anonymity would be shattered in the most brutal way possible, the calm before the storm was ending. And what was about to unfold would test not only Keanu's spirit, but reveal the true colors of everyone. Around him, in 7 minutes, careers would be crushed, reputations destroyed. And the world would witness what happens when raw power collides. With unshakable truth, Marcus had just finished scanning the last item when the first police officer arrived. Officer Bradley Matthews, stocky, mid-40s, close-cropped hair, radiating aggression, walked up to the checkout. He moved like a man certain he was about to make headlines. "Excuse me, sir," Matthews barked, hand resting near his belt. "I need you to step away from the register." Keanu looked up, confused. "I'm sorry, is there a problem?" "We received a report of suspicious activity," Matthews declared loud enough for the entire checkout area to hear. "I need to see some identification," it sounded routine. But Matthews' tone carried something else, a threat. Keanu slowly reached into his jacket, careful to make every motion visible. "Here's my driver's license," he said, calm. And composed, Matthews took it and inspected it like it was counterfeit, dragging out the moment with theatrical intensity. Other shoppers froze mid-step, watching the scene unfold. Phones came out ready to record what was clearly becoming an unusual public confrontation. "Keanu Reeves," Matthews read aloud, his tone laced with mockery, the actor. "That's correct," Keanu answered quietly. "And what are you doing here today, Mr. Reeves?" The question wasn't innocent. It was loaded, as if a man like Keanu had no business grocery shopping in Beverly Hills. "Buying groceries," Keanu replied. "For dinner with my sister." Matthew's partner had arrived, Officer Jennifer Cole, younger and sharper, with a look of ambition in her eyes. "Sir, we received a report you were harassing customers and acting erratically," Keanu blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "I haven't harassed anyone." "That's not what we heard," Cole said, flipping open a small notebook as if on cue. "Multiple witnesses say you followed women, made unwanted contact, and acted aggressively." The accusation was so absurd that Keanu nearly laughed. "There must be some mistake. I helped a child with fallen apples. I paid for a woman's groceries. That's all I've done here." "That's your story," Matthews sneered. "But we've got witnesses saying otherwise." Marcus, the cashier, stood frozen between them. "Officers, I've been here the whole time. Mr. Reeves was calm, polite. He even paid for someone's groceries." "Sir, we didn't ask for your input," Cole snapped at Marcus. "Please step back." By now, the crowd had grown. Phones were raised. People were filming. Store security appeared with the manager, a flustered man named Robert, who looked completely unprepared for this chaos. "Mr. Reeves," Matthews said, voice louder now, "I need you to come with us for questioning." "Am I under arrest?" Keanu asked, still calm. "Not yet." Cole smirked. "But that could change depending on your cooperation." The threat hung in the air. Keanu was cornered: cooperate and validate lies, or resist and risk escalation. "I'm happy to cooperate," he said carefully. "But I'd like to know what I'm being accused of." "Harassment, disturbing the peace, suspicious behavior," Matthews recited like reading from a script. "Multiple witnesses, Mr. Reeves, this isn't going away." The energy in the room shifted. Some onlookers whispered about celebrity privilege. Others, who had seen Keanu's kindness, looked on in disbelief. "Officers?" The store manager spoke up. "Maybe we could handle this in a private office?" "This is a police matter," Cole cut him off. "We'll handle it our way." Keanu stood still, centered. Anyone who knew him well would have noticed the change. His breathing slowed, posture steady. He was preparing. "I'd like to call my attorney," Keanu said quietly. "Oh, now you want a lawyer?" Matthews chuckled. "Guilty conscience, Mr. Reeves?" The comment was designed to shift perception, to paint Keanu as guilty before any truth emerged. Phones kept recording. This would be on the internet within minutes. I want a lawyer, Keanu said steadily, because I know my rights. And I know when those rights are being violated. The air was thick with tension. What began as a grocery run had become a full-blown spectacle, a public attempt to discredit him, but what Matthews and Cole didn't know was that their fabricated charges were about to collide with something they couldn't control. The truth. Truth so powerful it would shatter everything they thought they knew about control. Justice, and what happens when authority is abused. Officer Matthews stepped closer, his stance now openly hostile. The crowd thickened, people from all over the store gathering to watch. Everyone sensed something big was unfolding. Mr. Reeves, Matthews said, projecting loudly, your attitude is becoming concerning. We have multiple witnesses and now you're being uncooperative. I've answered every question. Keanu replied evenly. I've offered to cooperate fully. I simply asked to speak to legal counsel. Legal representation? Cole scoffed. Typical Hollywood move? You think money and lawyers make you untouchable? It wasn't just an accusation. It was a carefully calculated line, one designed to shape public opinion and inflame a judgment. Ma'am, with all due respect, Keanu said, his voice composed, asking for an attorney is a constitutional right, not a privilege of wealth. Matthews stepped closer still, now within striking distance. You know what I think, Mr. Reeves? He said, I think you've lived in your Hollywood bubble so long you've forgotten how to treat regular people. The accusation was deeply ironic. Keanu was known for treating everyone, from A-listers to janitors, with unwavering kindness and respect. That's quite an assumption. Keanu replied softly, is it? Cole added, consulting her notebook. Again, we have a witness who says you grabbed a woman's arm. Another who says you made inappropriate comments. These were outright fabrications, and Keanu knew it. But he also understood something darker. In the court of public opinion, accusations often shouted louder than truth. Those allegations are completely false, Keanu said, his voice steady, now edged with quiet steel. And I'm confident the store's security footage will back me up. Matthews and Cole exchanged a quick glance. Keanu noticed. So did several in the crowd. Security footage can be misleading, Matthews said dismissively. Doesn't always tell the whole story. Robert, the store manager, visibly nervous, tried to offer a solution. Officers, I can pull the footage up right now. That won't be necessary, Cole interrupted sharply. Eyewitness testimony is more reliable than video that can be taken out of context. That refusal to check evidence, it was blatant now. The crowd murmured, skepticism spreading. Keanu turned to the officer's voice gaining a subtle force. You're refusing to review footage that could prove or disprove your claims. Why? Don't tell us how to do our jobs, Matthews snapped. You Hollywood types think you know better than trained law enforcement? I'm not telling. You, Keanu replied calmly. I'm asking why you won't verify evidence that could resolve this fairly. The implication was clear to everyone. This wasn't incompetence. It was avoidance. Marcus, the cashier, stepped forward again, voice trembling but firm. Officers, I saw the whole thing. Mr. Reeves didn't touch anyone. He helped a kid with apples, paid for someone's groceries. That's it. Cole turned, sharp. Are you interfering with a police investigation? Marcus paled but didn't back down on telling the truth. Your version of the truth, Matthews growled. We have other witnesses. Then produce them, a voice called from the crowd. An older man stepped forward. If all these witnesses exist, where are they? Another voice joined in, then another, and another. I've been here the whole time. This is ridiculous. Show us the footage. Matthews was losing control. His jaw tightened. He barked. Everyone step back. This is police business. But something in his eyes shifted, and Keanu saw it. This wasn't just a power trip. It was personal, Officer Matthews, Keanu said quietly. Have we met before? The question struck deep. Matthews' professional mask cracked, if only for a moment. We're done talking, Matthews snapped. Mr. Reeves, you're coming with us for further questioning. Am I under arrest? Keanu asked once more. "You are now," Matthews muttered, reaching for his cuffs. The crowd gasped. Phones zoomed in. Keanu Reeves. Handcuffed in a grocery store. Based on fabricated allegations, but no one, not Matthews, not Cole, not even the bystanders understood what this moment truly was, not a takedown, but the start of a reckoning. As the cuffs came out, something shifted in Keanu, not visibly, but inside. A lifetime of reflection, loss, and discipline aligned into a single, focused stillness. "Officer Matthews," he said, voice calm and firm, "before you do something that cannot be undone, I want you to consider very carefully what's happening here." Matthews hesitated. The cuffs stopped mid-air. "You're about to arrest me based on unverified claims. You've ignored witness testimony that contradicts your story. You've refused to check footage that could settle this instantly. And all of this," he swept his eyes over the phones, "is being recorded and will be shared with the world in minutes." For the first time, Matthews' resolve faltered. "So ask yourself," Keanu said, voice steady, "is this about justice, public safety, or something else entirely?" Cole stepped forward, trying to cut in. "Mr. Reeves, trying to intimidate law enforcement is a serious..." But Keanu didn't break eye contact with Matthews. "Officer Matthews," he said, voice now soft but commanding, "I've spent my life playing heroes. But real heroes aren't the ones who fight. They're the ones who do what's right, even when it's hard." Matthews' expression shifted. Anger, confusion, shame. "You have a choice right now," Keanu continued. "Go down this path or step back and examine what's really happening here." Around them, the energy had changed. This wasn't just a celebrity moment. It was a lesson in dignity, live-streamed to the world. Marcus stepped in once more, voice stronger now. "Officers, I insist we review the security footage before this goes any further. I have a responsibility to our customers." Robert, the manager, finally stepped up. "I agree. We're pulling the footage right now." "Marcus is right," someone said firmly. "We need to review the footage before arresting an innocent man." "This is police business," Officer Cole snapped, but her voice lacked its earlier force. "No," said the elderly man from before. He stepped forward, voice heavy with lived experience. "This isn't just about police business. This is about right and wrong. And what you're doing is wrong." The tension shifted. Voices from the crowd joined in. "Check the cameras. This is harassment. Where are the so-called witnesses?" Officer Matthews looked around. The crowd was no longer passive. They were engaged, united, angry. And suddenly his confidence began to waver. The story he and Cole had tried to force was falling apart, and everyone could see it, but Keanu wasn't done. He took a slow step forward, steady, calm, yet powerful. Not threatening, commanding. "You want to know what I think's really happening here?" he asked, voice rising. "I think someone made a phone call. I think someone saw me here and decided to stir up trouble. This isn't about harassment. It's about someone who's got a personal problem with me." Matthew's face turned pale. He didn't respond, but the truth in Keanu's words cut through the air. "That's ridiculous," Matthews stammered. "Is it?" Keanu asked, unfazed. "Then why won't you review the footage? Where are your witnesses? Why are you so eager to arrest me without evidence?" The questions weren't just rhetorical, they were indictments. And they hung in the air like T-underclouds. The power dynamic shifted completely. The ones with the badges now looked like the ones being questioned. Keanu's tone deepened. "Here's what's going to happen," he said, voice low but clear. "You're going to put those handcuffs away. You're going to look at the security footage. And you're going to either show these witnesses or admit they don't exist. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a threat. It was justice, delivered quietly, and everyone around him knew he was absolutely right. But what happened next would decide whether Officer Matthews saved his badge or buried his career, because Keanu had just done something no academy could teach. He had stood in truth. And now, truth stood with him. A long silence followed. Matthews held the cuffs in his hand, but didn't move. Time seemed frozen. Phones recording. Eyes watching. History writing itself. Then his radio crackled. Unit 47, this is dispatch. What's your status on the Reeves situation? The mention of Keanu's name sent a shock through the crowd. How did dispatch know it was him? This wasn't a random call anymore. It was targeted. Matthew's hand trembled as he lifted the radio. Dispatch, we're handling it. Copy that. Command wants an update ASAP. The call came from high up. If you know what I mean. Silence? But the damage was already done. Everyone heard it. Keanu repeated softly. High up. He turned to Matthews. Officer Matthews, who exactly called in this complaint? Matthews turned gray. This wasn't routine anymore. This was exposure. Cole tried to salvage the moment. That's confidential police information. We're not required to. Actually, you are. A new voice rose from the crowd. A woman in her 50s held up her phone. I'm Jennifer Walsher, attorney at law, and I've been live streaming this entire incident. Under California law, she continued, the accused has the right to know the source of any accusation. And what we've just witnessed is a misuse of police authority based on false claims. That's a federal civil rights violation. Cole looked stunned. She didn't expect a legal expert in aisle 5. The crowd grew louder. What they thought was just a celebrity confrontation was now exposed as something much darker. A coordinated hit job. Keanu remained composed, but his voice sharpened. Officer Matthews, I'm asking you one more time. Who called in this complaint? Matthews turned to Cole, but she was already backing away. She knew this was career suicide. We received a call. Matthews mumbled. From who? Keanu pushed. Silence stretched like a wire. Then a phone rang. A man in the crowd answered. Hello? Oh, hey, Richard. What? No, I'm at the grocery store. Yes, that one. What do you mean, is it working? His expression twisted. Richard? What plan? You called the police? You told them to... Oh my God. He ended the call and turned to the room. That was my neighbor, Richard Blackstone. He just asked if the plan worked, if Keanu Reeves had been arrested yet. A wave of realization hit the crowd. Richard Blackstone. The same powerful developer exposed by Maria Santos on Judge Judy. The same man Keanu had stood up to. This wasn't random. This was revenge. And now everyone knew it. Keanu closed his eyes, then opened them again, not angry, clear. So. He said, Richard Blackstone filed a false report to have me arrested as payback for exposing his abuse of an elderly woman. It all made sense. The refusal to check evidence. The fake witnesses. The high-up dispatch. It was all connected. A corrupt man pulling strings. And the police being used like weapons. Keanu turned to Matthews. You just tried to arrest me based on a lie. A lie designed by someone seeking personal revenge. You refused to examine the evidence, Keanu said, his voice steady but cutting. You ignored direct witness testimony. And you did it all while being recorded by dozens of people. Officer Matthews stood frozen, visibly shaken. The handcuffs in his grip now seemed like relics of a mistake he couldn't undo. But here's what's truly tragic, Keanu continued. His voice rose not in anger, but in authority, a kind of moral gravity that made people lean in without knowing why. You had a choice. The silence in the room deepened. When I asked you to review the footage, you could have chosen truth. When the witnesses challenged your narrative, you could have chosen justice. When the facts made it clear this was wrong, you could have stood for what was right. The crowd was captivated now, no longer watching a confrontation. This was a reckoning. Keanu wasn't just calling out a bad arrest. He was holding a mirror up to power itself. But instead, he said, narrowing his eyes at Matthews, you chose to become someone else's weapon. You chose to misuse your authority for a petty revenge campaign that had nothing to do with you. You threw away your oath to serve and protect to serve someone's grudge instead? Behind him, Officer Cole inched toward the exit, trying to disappear before the collapse caught her too. Keanu didn't even turn to look. Officer Cole, she froze mid-step. Where are you going? Gasps rippled through the crowd as every head turned to her. I said, where are you going? Keanu asked again, finally facing her. Are you running from your partner? Trying to escape the corruption you willingly took part in? He wasn't yelling. He didn't need to. His voice had the weight of judgment. This moment is going to live far beyond this store, he said, addressing the crowd and both officers. The footage captured today will be seen by millions. Your names will be etched into the public memory as examples of what happens when power is abused. And Richard Blackstone's little revenge scheme? It's going to destroy more than just your careers. It's going to bring down every ounce of credibility he ever had. The crowd stood stunned. What began as an attempt to shame Keanu had turned into a full-blown public dissection of corruption led by the man they tried to break. And still, the most devastating part hadn't even started. As his words settled. Like thunder in the air, Officer Matthews made his choice. He lowered the handcuffs slowly. His hand trembled, the reality finally sinking in. Mr. Reeves, he said, barely above a whisper, I need to see the security footage. It wasn't just an admission of guilt, it was the first step toward redemption. Robert, the store manager, jumped on the moment. Yes, of course. Let's head to the security office right now. But Keanu stopped him with a raised hand. No, we're not doing this in secret, he turned to the crowd. I think everyone here deserves to see the truth for themselves, right? Now, the energy shifted. Phones were raised again. Whispers spread. Robert nodded hesitantly and rushed into the back. Returning quickly with a laptop connected to the store's camera system, he set it up on the customer service counter for everyone to see. This is from camera 7, Robert announced nervously. Covers the produce section. The footage began. Keanu appeared on screen, calmly selecting vegetables. Then the camera showed a woman with her 2 children nearby, clearly overwhelmed. One child tripped and knocked over a pyramid of apples. Without hesitation, Keanu crouched down, gently helped pick up the fruit, and smiled kindly at the embarrassed boy. The mother's grateful look said it all. Yeah, that's harassment, huh? Someone in the crowd quipped, sarcasm thick. Next. Robert pulled up camera 4 footage from the deli section. Keanu stood at a respectful distance, quietly waiting his turn, interacting politely with the staff. Where's this aggressive behavior we heard about? Another voice called out, but the final blow came from camera 2, the checkout area. It captured the entire incident, the woman's card getting declined. Keanu offering to pay discreetly, her heartfelt thank you, and Marcus the cashier praising Keanu's generosity. No yelling. No threats. No drama, someone whispered. Officer Cole muttered, almost to herself. Multiple witness complaints. But even she didn't believe it anymore. Jennifer Walsh, the attorney live streaming the event, stepped forward with her phone. I've been broadcasting this entire situation to over 50,000 viewers across several platforms, she announced. And now they're seeing the security footage too. She let that sink in before continuing. But here's what's even more interesting, she said, raising her voice just enough. While we've been standing here, my team has been researching Richard Blackstone. Now the crowd really listened. It turns out, this isn't the first time he's pulled something like this. Over the past 5 years, there have been at least 6 other cases where individuals who stood up to him or exposed his shady business practices were suddenly targeted by false complaints. Keanu's eyes narrowed. It all clicked into place. Pattern, he murmured. Exactly, Walsh replied. And in each of those cases, the complaints went to departments or agencies where Mr. Blackstone had ... connections. Matthews looked like he might throw up. Connections, donations, political favors, call them what you want, Walsh continued. Mr. Blackstone has poured money into certain police foundations, campaigns, and local politicians. This wasn't justice. This was influence bought and paid for, and now, the full extent of the rot was beginning to show. This wasn't just about 32 minutes and 45 seconds revenge against Keanu. It was about a systematic abuse of power that had been going on for years. Officer Matthews, 32 minutes and 52 seconds, Keanu said, his voice carrying both authority and compassion. You're not the real villain here. You're a weapon 32 to 59 that someone else picked up and tried to use. The question is, what are you going to do now that you know the truth? 33 minutes and 5 seconds, Matthews looked around at the crowd, at the cameras, at the evidence of his manipulation playing out on the security 33 minutes and 12 seconds monitor. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I joined the force to help people, to protect and serve. I 33 minutes and 19 seconds never wanted to be anyone's personal enforcer. Then don't be, Keanu replied simply. Matthews made his decision. He 33 minutes and 27 seconds pulled out his radio and called dispatch. This is Unit 47. I need to speak with a supervisor immediately 33 minutes and 34 seconds about the Reeves call. We have a situation here that requires internal investigation. The crowd erupted in 33 minutes and 40 seconds cheers and applause. Even Officer Cole looked relieved as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. But Keanu 33 minutes and 47 seconds wasn't finished. He turned to address the cameras directly, knowing that his words would reach far beyond the grocery 33 minutes and 53 seconds store. What happened here today isn't just about false accusations or corrupt influence, he said, his voice carrying 34 the moral authority that had defined the entire confrontation. It's about what happens when people in power forget that 34 minutes and 7 seconds they serve justice, not the highest bidder. The crowd fell silent, understanding that they were witnessing 34 to 30 and something historically significant. Richard Blackstone thought he could use his money and connections to destroy 34 minutes and 19 seconds someone who exposed his cruelty. He thought he could turn law enforcement into his personal revenge squad. He 34 to 25 thought that power and wealth were more important than truth and justice. Keanu paused, looking directly into the 34 minutes and 31 seconds nearest camera. He was wrong. And everyone watching this needs to understand this kind of corruption. Only 34 minutes and 38 seconds works when good people stay silent. When witnesses don't speak up, when officers 34 minutes and 43 seconds follow orders without questioning their source, when citizens don't demand accountability. The transformation was 34 to 49 complete. What had begun as an attempt to humiliate and destroy Keanu had become a powerful lesson about 34 minutes and 55 seconds integrity, courage, and the responsibility that comes with bearing witness to injustice. Today, all of you 35 minutes and 2 seconds chose to speak up, Keanu continued, addressing the crowd. You chose truth over convenience, who chose justice over 35 to 10 authority, who chose what was right when it would have been easier to stay silent. The crowd stood in a silence, 35 minutes and 17 seconds, understanding that they had been part of something much larger than a celebrity incident. They had participated in a 35 to 23 victory for justice itself. But the most powerful moment was yet to come. As Keanu prepared to deliver a message that 35 minutes and 30 seconds would be remembered long after the headlines faded. In the aftermath of the truth being revealed, something profound 35 minutes and 36 seconds had shifted in the grocery store. What had begun as a space of conflict and accusation had transformed into 35 minutes and 42 seconds, something resembling a courtroom, where justice had finally been served, not by authority figures but by ordinary 35 to 49 people choosing to stand up for what was right. Officer Matthews stood before Keanu, no longer the aggressive enforcer 35 to 56 who had arrived with handcuffs and false accusations. The security footage had stripped away all pretense, revealing 36 minutes and 3 seconds him as a man who had been manipulated into betraying his own oath. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 36 minutes and 9 seconds, someone who had just seen himself clearly for the first time. In years, Mr. Reeves, Matthew said, his voice breaking 36 minutes and 16 seconds slightly. I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the truth about how this really happened. The crowd pressed 3-6 colon 2-2 closer, sensing that the most important revelations were still to come. 3 days ago, I received a call from Captain 36 minutes and 30 seconds Rodriguez. He told me that there had been complaints about a celebrity harassing customers at various 36 minutes and 35 seconds businesses in Beverly Hills. He said the complaints were credible and that we needed to send a message that star 36 to 42 status doesn't exempt anyone from consequences. Matthews paused, clearly struggling with what came next. But when 36 minutes and 49 seconds, I asked to see the complaint reports, Captain Rodriguez said they were being handled at a higher level. He gave me 36 minutes and 55 seconds your description, told me you'd probably be at Ralph's this weekend and instructed me to observe and act if I 37 minutes and 1 second witnessed any inappropriate behavior. Keanu listened without interruption, understanding that Matthews was 37 minutes and 7 seconds unburdening himself of more than just this one incident. When we arrived and I saw you helping that child and paying 37 minutes and 13 seconds for the woman's groceries, I radioed back that there was no evidence of harassment, but Captain Rodriguez 37 minutes and 20 seconds ordered me to proceed anyway. He said the complaints were serious and that I needed to trust the system. Officer 37-26 Cole, who had been trying to blend into the background, stepped forward. I want to add something, she said, her voice 37:33 shaky. This isn't the first time we've been given orders like this. There's a pattern of certain influential people 37-39 calling in complaints, and those complaints always get fast-tracked regardless of evidence. Jennifer Walsh, 37 minutes and 46 seconds, still live streaming to her growing audience, held up her phone. I want everyone to understand what we're 37 minutes and 52 seconds hearing right now. These officers are describing a systematic corruption of law enforcement where wealthy 37-58 individuals can essentially order police harassment of their enemies. The implication sent a shockwave through 38 minutes and 4 seconds the crowd and the online viewers. This wasn't just about Keanu or even Richard 38 minutes and 9 seconds Blackstone. It was about the fundamental breakdown of equal justice under law. Keanu absorbed this information with the 38 minutes and 15 seconds same calm he'd maintained throughout the entire ordeal. When he spoke, his voice 38-21 carried a sadness that went beyond personal injury. Officer Matthews, Officer Cole, I want you to understand 38-27 something. You were victims too. You were turned into weapons against your will, manipulated into betraying 38-33 everything you joined the force to protect. The grace in his response was stunning. Even after being falsely 38:39 accused, publicly humiliated, and nearly arrested, Keanu was extending compassion 38 minutes and 45 seconds to those who had wronged him. But victimization doesn't excuse participation, he continued, his voice 38-51 gaining strength. Both of you had moments where you could have chosen differently. When witnesses contradicted 38-56 your narrative, when I asked for evidence to be examined, when your own consciences told you something was 39 minutes and 2 seconds wrong, you had choices. Matthews nodded, tears forming in his eyes. You're right. 39:07 I chose to follow orders instead of following my oath. I chose convenience over conscience. And now, Keanu asked, 39 minutes and 14 seconds? What do you choose now? Matthew straightened his shoulders and, for the first time since arriving at the store, 39 minutes and 20 seconds he looked like the police officer he had originally intended to be, asterisk. Now I choose to be part of the solution, he said firmly. I'm going to report this entire chain of command corruption. I'm going to testify about how complaints from wealthy donors get special treatment. I'm going to make sure this never happens. To anyone else, Officer Cole nodded in agreement. I'll back up everything he says. We have documentation, recordings, patterns, we can prove it. The transformation was remarkable. 2 officers who had arrived as tools of corruption were now leaving as voices for justice. But Keanu wasn't finished. He turned to address the crowd and the cameras one final time. Everyone who witnessed what happened here today has learned something important about power, he said, his voice carrying the calm authority of someone who had just shown grace under the ultimate pressure. You've seen how it can be abused, how it can corrupt even good people, and how it can be challenged by ordinary citizens who refuse to stay silent. The crowd listened in rapt attention. They understood they were hearing something far bigger than just today's events. Richard Blackstone thought money and connections could rewrite reality. He thought he could use law enforcement as his personal revenge service. He believed power meant freedom from accountability. Keanu paused, letting the weight of his words land. But power without accountability is just organized cruelty? And today you prove that truth is stronger than influence, that justice matters more than authority, and that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they choose to stand for what's right. He looked straight into Jennifer Walsh's camera, into the eyes of millions who would see the footage. To everyone watching this, remember what you've seen. Corruption only survives when good people stay silent. Your voice matters. Your witness matters. Your decision to speak up it matters. Robert, the store manager, stepped forward. Mr. Reeves, I want to personally apologize for not acting sooner. I should have demanded we check the footage immediately. Keanu replied with a warm smile. You found your courage when it mattered most. That's what counts. Then Marcus, the young cashier who had defended him from the start, approached, nervous. Mr. Reeves, I just want to say what you did today was incredible. You didn't just stand up for yourself. You stood up for all of U.S. Keanu placed a hand gently on Marcus's shoulder. You defended me when it would have been easier to stay quiet. That took real courage. As the crowd began to disperse, many stopping to shake Keanu's hand or simply say thank you, the full scope of what had happened became clear. What Richard Blackstone intended as private humiliation had become a public education on justice, dignity, and moral courage. Within hours, the footage would be viral. Richard's corruption exposed. His empire under investigation? His misuse of law enforcement bringing criminal charges, but more importantly, millions of people would witness what happens when someone faces injustice with dignity, when they meet cruelty with grace, and when they use their voice not for revenge, but to teach. Keanu Reeves had entered a grocery store as a private man, just picking up dinner with his sister. He left us something far more, a symbol of truth in a world flooded with silence. A reminder that real justice doesn't wear a badge, it lives in the heart of those who refuse to look away. The transformation was complete. Not just his, but everyone's. They'd all seen that real power doesn't come from wealth or titles. It comes from doing what's right, even when wrong is easier. And that lesson would echo far beyond this Beverly Hills grocery store, reminding the world, heroes aren't just in movies.